This. Oh, we're on mic.
Oh, I know what to do now.
Fabulous. Look, the 20 minutes hasn't started counting down yet, so we could just talk nonsense for a bit.
Excellent.
Very exciting. Hello, everybody. I was under the impression this was a fireside chat, so I'm mortified there's not a blazing fire
I'm leaving.
on the screen.
That's it. Where's the fire? No good at all.
So my name's Alex Baker. Hello. I'm head of creative strategy at Bauer Media. I'm also a presenter, a radio and TV presenter, and have been for 15 years, which just seems mad because it seems like yesterday that I started. And this is one of my favourite broadcasters in the UK, and I'm not just saying that, it's true. This is Emma B, who's had an incredible career to date, from BBC Radio 1 to Radio Caroline, the actual boat that rocked.
Yes.
You were on that all those years ago. Six Music,
Yep.
Creation Records in the prime with Oasis and
You're
Primal
dating
Scream.
me now, Alex.
And more recently, of course, the daytime show on Magic Radio, which is an absolutely fabulous show. And we're here to have a conversation with you guys, and it would be great to have questions as we go, and we can all just mix it up as long as it's within the allocated time frame, to talk about the power of audio and how we can harness it as we move into the future of audio. I've got some notes on my phone. If you see me on my phone, it's not because I'm an always-on influencer. It's because I have notes. What I'd like to do...
Hashtag.
Hashtag just saying. What I'd like to do, if you'll indulge me for a second, and you can do this too if you want.
Okay, cool. I'm going.
It's a bit of an icebreaker, I suppose, for want of a less sort of horrific term, is if everyone could just close their eyes, and you might be thinking, oh, come on, don't do this to me. Close your eyes. Don't worry about embarrassment. Don't worry about anything. Close your eyes. I'll do it too. And what I want you to think about is a pink giraffe. Just imagine a pink giraffe in your mind now. Whatever that means to you. Some people it might be a bright, vivid image. Some people it might be a concept. Some people it might be just the words. However that thought manifests in your brain. Just think about a pink giraffe. Now, what you need to do is ask yourself what that pink giraffe looks like to you. Is it zoomed in? Is it zoomed out? Is it a big landscape? Is the pink giraffe strolling through the Serengeti? Apparently, maybe he's in Soho, enjoying an ice cream. I don't know. What's that pink giraffe doing? Underneath the dappled shade of a tree, perhaps munching on a leaf. What colour is that leaf? Is he framed? Is it a girl? Is it a boy giraffe? Who knows? Now, the point I'm making here is that what's happening right now, whether you like it or not, if you've indulged me, that pink giraffe is forming in your brain. And there's not just an image of a pink giraffe, but there's all sorts of other things going on because your brain is being engaged. And I think one of the things that I love and what's drawn me to audio over the years so much, and like I say, I do radio and TV, and for me, radio is always going to be the one that I love the most, is that we have this unbelievable power in audio where you can engage people's minds in such a fundamental way. And radio is really at the forefront of that and has been for such a long time. There's something live and immediate about radio that is just so impressive and so exciting. And everyone that works in radio, certainly the majority of people, whether they're consciously or subconsciously aware of it, as a result of understanding that power, treat their audiences with immense respect. And what comes from that respect is trust. Now, we know that radio is the most trusted platform in Europe, and it has been for quite some time. In fact, during COVID, the commercial radio market in the UK expanded to 49.7 million listeners every single week, which is absolutely insane. But what have we learned from it? What do we know about this power? And what can we, how can we sort of foresee the future with it in mind? Emma, let's start with you. You've been on air for ages. Not too long, an appropriate amount of time. What is it that, how do you create that sort of authentic relationship with your audience? And what is it specifically about radio that gives it that extra power, do you think?
I could wax lyrical about this for a very long time, but we haven't got that. And I've been trying to sort of condense it down. And it sort of feels, for me, to sort of fall into three categories, which is context, audience, and collaboration. And for me, context is understanding moments in time, is understanding where we are, understanding those zeitgeist moments, understanding those hashtags, understanding the humor that is filling the ether, keeping yourself connected with every day. So that is as much knowing who's just been chucked out of Love Island as it is that new sauce that everyone's buying in Asda, as it is that it's a really hot day and no one can get their kids to sleep, as it is how much the train strikes are causing havoc to everybody. So staying in touch with context for me as a presenter, if I can't talk about that, if I can't convey that I am part of the same world, that I understand that concisely, then I'm someone that no one can relate to. And you know, that's why I think magic is such a good friend to people. And we had that during the pandemic more than anything, is such a good friend. You're such a good friend to people, and people trust friends. That, you know, it's not a constant stream of gags. It's not, because I'm not funny, thank God. It's not a constant stream of skits and curated bits of content necessarily. It's highly thought about and definitely worked on, but just that context, being able to recognise those trends, those moments, those things that are you know, joining us all together, I think is really important. I think the other thing is audience, is understanding your audience, knowing what people are doing at certain times of the day. You know, is it school run? Is it that moment in the afternoon in the office when everyone's having a slump around 3 o'clock and we're all pushing paper around the desk wishing it was now 5, we could go home. Understanding your audience and where they are and what they're doing, who they are, how old they are, all that, really knowing who they are. But by that is, I think, you know, I'm sitting in a room full of people who have an evidence-based approach to this. This is all my hunch, okay? I'm just a DJ. You know, more than demographics and all that kind of thing, just kind of literally knowing where people are and what they're doing, and that instinctive thing that you all know, and you know, I think we underestimate instinct sometimes a lot. And the other one is collaboration, and from your guys' perspective and Alex and the commercial teams at Bauer, I think, as us in the DJs in the studio, you know, we see the texts coming in, we get the phone calls coming in, we have the people coming up to us and talking on the street saying, God, shut up, you're so annoying. And you know, yesterday, a friend's mum who has ME stopped in the car to me and just said, I've been through a really horrific time recently with my ME, and magic has been a constant support and friend, this warm family that I know I can turn to. That connection, that's just giving me tingles. That connection is everything. It's the biggest compliment we could possibly have. And that collaboration between commercial teams and advertising, partnerships, working with all the different parts that help me deliver your message out on air is really crucial. There's nothing more frustrating than coming into a campaign and having no input, having not been able to comment or say, well, actually, this person emailed in last week or texted in last week and said this, maybe you could include that. So for me, context, audience, collaboration. Back to you.
And it's all about authenticity, that, isn't it, ultimately?
It's got to be, and this is why I think, you know, it's got to be, and especially with magic being the character, the flavour, the sound that it is. They see through it. Man, they see through it so quickly. Even you have to just mention a pair of trainers that were £134, and there'll be somebody texting and going, well, not everybody can afford trainers, £134. Yeah. It'll be the same person that texted in 5 times the last week. But the point is, you know, it's delicate. It's delicate, and you have to work at it. But yeah, authenticity is everything. Can
you tell us about the menopause content that you did on air?
Because I'm so glad you followed that with content on air. It's shit.
And you said you weren't funny. Come on, because that was a really great example, I think, of how, you know, not everybody can have that conversation in such a wonderful way.
I think you know, a part of our audience are either perimenopausal or menopausal, and I think because of the trust that we have with our audience and that caring, supportive nature that we have and characteristic that we have about magic, it felt like we could do it, and we're a music station, so we don't do things like this very often. We worked so hard because I think there's been a lot of celebrity-based information, there's been a lot of celebrity-based delivery, there's been a lot of celebrity influencing, and I think we really wanted to take another approach, which was to get experts, so straight out the the mouths of experts, and put that together with real women's voices, and get some real stories. And we had some amazing stories from real women, talking so eloquently as well. You don't need me or sometimes a DJ or a fancy person to be able to rely on eloquence and great ideas. And there was so much that came out of that. It was really, really successful, and that ran across a whole bunch of weeks, and we sort of bookended it with a special show that used Dr. Zoe Williams, who is obviously, she's fantastic and doing great guns at the moment. And every week we had a theme, and that kind of landed as pockets of packages, pre-made packages, trails and things that we populated throughout the day part. But the vast majority of that was real women's voices, and the response was amazing. It was amazing to hear people say, that's me too, that's happening to me too. And I think that doing it that way, finding that emphasis with real women's voices, really took the barrier away and the fear away from people getting involved. Does that make sense?
Mm. Do you know, I think this is such an interesting thing, because it really ties in with something we've been talking about a lot recently in the market, which is the missing middle. So I'll give some more context on that in a second, but before I get there, I think one of the things that I think is worth recognising is that people in the world are obsessed with things that are novel. They're obsessed with things that are new. And I sometimes think radio is the victim of its own brilliance, right? Radio's been around for over 100 years. And if it were launched today, if people said, today, you can sit in a studio and beam your voice and your personality and connect with people into their heads, into their brains, through a variety of different devices, be that smart speakers, apps, whatever it might be, in their car, in their home, wherever they are, whatever they're doing in the day. People would think that's the coolest thing ever. There'd be conversations about whether or not it should even be legal. Because it's like mind control. The conspiracy theorists would go mad. Do you know what I mean? And I think sometimes because it's been around for so long, people forget how brilliant it is, and people have been focusing more on things like, and I'm not saying there's not a place for it, of course, things like, super targeted digital media, et cetera, et cetera. But the reason I think it's important to recognise this is because, and this is what the Bauer Impact study was about that we did recently, was that there's been this term that's been coined recently called the missing middle. So in the marketing funnel, at the top of the funnel, of course, as we know, there's, hey everyone, here's a brand you should know about, it's all about awareness. At the bottom of the funnel, it's, hey, Mr. Consumer or Mrs. Consumer, we know you should buy this product right now because it's really great. What happens in the middle, though, is that's where the magic lives. Magic by name, magic by nature. In the middle, you turn that brand awareness into brand salience. So you take brand awareness from being, oh, I've heard of that brand, to it being, this is a brand that I care about, this is a brand that I know about, this is a brand that shares my values, this is a brand that has introduced me to a concept that's helping me in my life, this is a brand that's solving attention. All those sorts of things happen in the middle. But what's happened over the past decade, because of everyone being excited about digital targeting and everything else, there's been more focus on the bottom of the funnel and the top of the funnel because everyone wants reach. Now, I was having a conversation just the other day with and I won't say which one it was because you won't thank me for it, but a conversation with someone who runs a major high street fashion outlet. And they had a torrid time due to COVID, as you'd expect. Their sort of initial kind of reaction to that was to start spending loads of money at the bottom of the funnel. Just get our products in front of people's faces and hope that they buy them. So loads of product, loads of value, loads of deals, et cetera, et cetera. And that's worked, it's kept them afloat. But the problem is they're now irrelevant. People don't know what their brand is. People don't know what it stands for. So what we have is in that brand is a situation where if they don't keep pummeling money into the bottom end, they're going to lose their audience. So their brand doesn't stand for anything, and therefore people aren't going to them naturally. Do you see what I mean? And I think the campaigns like the menopause one is a really good example of where we operate in that middle section where we can have conversations. Now, obviously, the menopause one wasn't about a brand; it was about a time in a lady's life. But we also apply that same lens to all our commercial partnerships. That's kind of what we do at Bauer, and a lot of other people do as well. It's not just here to talk about just us, so to speak. But there's a whole bunch of stuff. There's some stats you can see on this. I've not clicked ahead as I should. Here's some stats. Read about them some other time because we haven't got a huge amount of time. But Emma, I want to ask you, in line with that, with an amazing menopause campaign, but putting that commercial lens on it, Is there any campaigns we've run recently where you think, wow, this has just been so great and connected in such an authentic way in the commercial?
Yeah, no, totally. We were talking about them. We did recently a campaign with Vitality and a lot of their partner brands. And I think it was a really, really good example of a big complex campaign that was really busy, multi-platform, lots of different moving parts. They wanted a very ambitious delivery, and being able to do that across an 8 to 10 week period without the listener feeling bombarded and isolated. So that light touch that the listener wants at Magic, but being able to kind of cut that through. And I think I was really pleased because it felt like it was quite complicated at the beginning. And through a lot of talking and working out and a lot of work from the commercial team and some input from me and Nick Snaith, we got it to work. And it was a really challenging thing to get these brands to kind of cut through into people's everyday lives. People don't like being shouted at about being out of shape. People don't like being, but trusting. We've got parents. We've got people who've got no money. We've got people who are trying to make ends meet, and we're trying to talk to them about Peloton. So things like that are really, really, really complicated. So we had to really sort of try and translate that. There was a lot of translating going on. If you can't do that, what can you do? What are the alternatives? If you can't eat that, what could you do? There was just a lot of creative thinking and a lot of collaboration with Vitality and the commercial team to try and sort of just break that down and chip away at how you can deliver it in a consumer-friendly way, in a Magic listener-friendly way, but still manage to get that cut through that they wanted. I really enjoyed it. I really, really enjoyed it because it was super active for us. There was a lot of social media stuff that was super fun. They were really supportive, and there was a lot of collaboration and trust in us as well, that we knew how to sell it. We're your voice piece. We're the people that say the words, and you can write scripts till they come out of your ears. But we're the people that understand the language that they're listening in, and to be given that trust and to be given that made a huge difference. I think they were pleased. Were they pleased?
They were very pleased, and I think that's a really good example. And I think this is the thing that's really exciting about where we're at, is that people are starting to wake up and realise that this middle part of the funnel is so important. And being able to have those conversations, it's not the same as just doing an airtime campaign, although that is very effective. It's not the same as just doing stuff at the bottom of the funnel, although that is very effective. It's this incredible kind of rich territory that we're doing more and more work in all the time, and that's kind of basically what that Bauer Impact study is
They
about.
basically linked us to the listener as well. So we had a kind of, it was almost a diary thing, so people could join in. So, by week 3, I knew that Victoria from Horsham was also running 10 kilometres, a week. Or I knew that David from Mid Wales had just started cutting out his can of Coke every night. So we were doing it together.
So
there was that point that we actually kind of, I'm not sitting in a box talking to you. We're doing something together, and that, I think that really hit home. That was super clever.
Do you know, we haven't got a huge amount of time left, but very quickly, you've worked in radio for your whole career. You know more than most what it takes to make what makes radio so special. In your mind, in terms of looking to the future, what are the long-term advantages of this medium?
Honestly, they haven't really changed for many years, but there is, and I am always a radio girl. It's my first love. There is a serendipity about radio that you should never underestimate. In this world of choice that we have, when you turn on the radio and there is somebody talking about something that's made you laugh that day, or that you've just experienced that day, or that you were out with your girls last night and I'm talking about the same thing, or you turn on the radio and for some reason it's your wedding song being played, or it's a song that reminds you of your dad, that serendipity, that moment is priceless. It's priceless. And that joins you together with a listener forever. That serendipity is magical. And you don't get that when you're curating Spotify playlists, which leads me on to my other thing, which is choice. We are bombarded with choice. We're bombarded. You know, from supermarkets to listening, to viewing, to whatever, we are bombarded. And sometimes it is really nice to hand that trust and hand that choice over to somebody where you turn on the radio and go, I'm not choosing, you choose. And if we get that right, man, that's a powerful connection. That's a really powerful connection. And I think in this world, you can see, you know, we're just talking the Sky Glass campaign. They're advertising, Sky Glass, we're choosing for you. They know that, you know, people want to be guided. And I think if you get that right, that's trust that is what you guys need.
I think as the world becomes more and more digital, people need to realise that the importance of filters is getting stronger and stronger and stronger. It's not diminishing.
Yeah.
And you know, radio is the ultimate filter, where we curate an amazing set of music and content for people to enjoy every single day and connect with them. Emma, thanks so much. We've run out of time. We didn't do it exactly onto time, which I'm gutted.
Oh my God, we didn't do zero. Yeah, zero.
And he's right by the stage. He told us he was our
We're going to talk to the 0-0-0-0 and get the pips, and then we'll like mini fist bump each other.
We crashed the vocal. But thank you so much, guys. Thank you so much. I think we're all out of time, right? Yeah.